Hello Year 8s, welcome to this video which we are going to review our order of operations rules. Now we've been doing this for many years now, and I know that you've done this in Year 7. We also talked about this when we did our integers topic earlier this year. So in this video I'm just going to run you through a few examples that include indices, since that is the topic that we're looking at currently. Up on the screen you'll see that we've got our little pyramid, but of course with BIDMAS written across the screen, that's our reminder of the proper order of operations that we must undertake when we are completing a mathematics problem. Now, of course, we know there needs to be an order of operations, a correct order of operations, because otherwise we could have multiple answers to the same question, and we know that that's not really a good thing for our mathematics. So just as a reminder, of course, we are aware that we always do brackets first, then our indices. So these powers that we've been working with so far in this topic, you'll make sure that you evaluate them after you do any brackets. Then, of course, division and multiplication, they have to come before addition and subtraction, and the order of those is, of course, left to right. So if you've got division and multiplication happening, I recommend just working left to right, and I'll show you a couple of problems where there's going to be lots of different operations that are taking place, and then we can use these BIDMAS rules. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one, a little warm-up, because it will be nice and easy to start off with. Here we have our first example, 3 times, and then we've got in a bracket 6 plus 5. Okay, so one thing with these, and I'll just stress this, it's really important that we show our workings correctly. So what I'm going to do is show you what students will do with a question like this, and basically why that's incorrect and why I don't want you to do that. So just quickly, what a lot of students will do here is they'll say equals, and then they'll say 6 plus 5, so they'll do this bit, and then they'll say, okay, that's equal to 11, and then I need to multiply that by 3, and so that's going to give me 33. Now, of course, I can see what you've done, and that's all well and good, and you've arrived at the right answer as well at the end. However, have a look at what this is actually equal to. This is equal to 11, and have a look at what this line is equal to. This is equal to 33. Now, because you've used this equal sign here, you're telling me that both of these lines of workings, they are equivalent. They're the same. And of course, we can see that they're not. So what's really important is that we show our workings in the correct way, and I'm going to demonstrate that now. What we need to do is in each line, we can actually rewrite anything that we haven't actually evaluated yet. So I am not going to multiply by 3 yet. So what I'm going to do in my next line is write 3 times. And then here, you can put it in a bracket, or it doesn't need to be once you've evaluated. But that bracket there is equivalent to 11. So I don't need to write 6 plus 5 equals 11, which I know a lot of you are tempted to do. I also don't need to write 11 above the bracket. You can just simply place your answer to 6 plus 5 in the next line of workings, in, substituting the 6 plus 5 to what that is equal to. And then the final line will be just to evaluate 3 times 11, and we get 33. So please make sure that you do show your workings appropriately. I'm going to tell you if that's incorrect, and I do want you to listen to that advice, please. With this next one here, we don't have any brackets, we don't have any indices, so it's just simply a case of recognizing I've got addition and I've got multiplication. Multiplication has to happen before addition. So here, I need to make sure I do 3 times 2 first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 17 plus, because I'm not doing that yet. So it's still in my next line of workings. Instead of writing 3 times 2, I'm going to write what that's equal to. And then finally, I will evaluate. So again, please don't break it up into separate little lines like this, because that's what I'm seeing a fair bit of. And again, this is incorrect. So we'll delete that. Okay, moving on to something a little different. So something that involves indices now. And we've got a third example. Just a reminder that If you would like to jot these down, you can do so. Might be a good idea to pause me a few times. You could also pause me before I do the example, and you could try it yourself first and then see if you get the same result. All right, so all I've got going on here is I've got an index. I've got a power here, 3 to the power of 2. Of course, that means 3 times 3. It does not mean 3 times 2. Another common error that I'm seeing. I need to do indices first, so I need to do the 3 times 3 first. And then finally, 7 nines are 63. Another index question here. This one's got a bracket in it. So of course, as expected, I evaluate that bracket first, 50 plus 10. And then finally, I need to do 60 squared. Again, that means 60 times 60. So 6 sixes, 36, and then multiplied by 10 times 10. So we do get 3,600 or 3,600 for this one. Just got 2 more to show you. These ones are where we're getting a little bit more complicated. All right, so I'm going to do this in quite a few lines. Hopefully I've left myself enough space. I think I have, yes. I'm going to do this in quite a few lines. Now, it can be done in less. I'm just going to do it nice and slowly, just so that it helps your understanding and so that I don't skip too many steps, say, and leave you a little bit lost. So I'm going to just do the bracket first. 2 squared is 4. And you'll see you can actually evaluate all of that bracket in one go, but I'm going to do it in a couple of steps just to see bit by bit what I'm doing. So 4 plus 12 divided by 6, take 4 squared. I've now done the bracket. And you'll see I did the index first and then I added 12. Now what I'm going to do is evaluate the indices. So 3 squared is 9. So I've got here 9 times 16 divided by 6, take 4 squared, which is 16. Okay, what are we left with here? We've got multiplication, division, and subtraction. The main thing we need to do is just make sure we don't do the subtraction first, because that happens after multiplication and division. So what I'll do here now is I'll do this multiplication first, because we'll work left to right. So we need to do 9 times 16. Okay, so easiest way to do 9 times 16, well, one of the ways is you could do 10 times 16 and you could subtract 16. Or you could do, you could halve, you can imagine that 16 is actually 8 times 2, like so. I'm going to rub this out in a minute because I'm not going to leave this in my workings. But if 16 is 8 times 2, we could do 9 times 8 times 2. So 9 eighths are 72. And if we multiply that by 2, we get 144. Like so. Now we just need to make sure we do the division before the subtraction. Again, that's because it comes first or comes before subtraction in the order of operations. So now we need to do 144 divided by 6. So a couple of ways that you can do this. You could, I know a lot of you will do it this way. So 6 into 14 goes twice with 2 remainder. 6 into 24 goes 4 times. Another way that you can do it is imagine, well, 144 divided by 12 would be 12. So if we're dividing it by 6 instead, that's going to be double 12. That's one way that I would look at it, but if you're more comfortable in doing it this way, by all means. And now we have 24 minus 16, and we're left with 8. So as you can see, I've done that in quite a few lines. Now don't be afraid to do that. It's not about trying to keep it as concise as possible. Of course, we do that a lot with maths. We try and keep things concise. But here I've used lots of steps to show bit by bit what I've done and made sure each step showed the entire calculation and wasn't just one little section of the calculation. Last one that I'll do with you looks like this, and I might just move it up a little bit so that I've got space on the screen. Okay, so there it is there. All right, so we do have a bracket here. Let's evaluate that first. I would sometimes do the indices in the same line, but so that bit was in the bracket, 6 minus 4 is 2, and that's going to be squared. Now we'll do the indices. 3 cubed, that's 3 times 3 times 3. 3 3s are 9, 9 3s are 27. 2 squared is 4, and we're adding 12 divided by 2 squared, which is 4. Okay, next. We are left with multiplication, addition, division. So multiplication, division, they are next in our pyramid or in our order. So we need to do 27 times 4. So easiest way to do this one, well, if we're multiplying by 4, we could double and double again. So double 27 is 54, double that is 108. Alternatively, you could do 4 times 25, that would take us up to 100. And then we've got 4 times 2, because that was the extra little bit that we've left off. So a few different mental strategies that you could use. We're left with this. And then finally, we can't do the addition yet because we've got division here. So this bit here has to happen first. We need to do 12 divided by 4. So 108, 12 divided by 4 is 3. And finally, 108 plus 3, 111. So there you have a few warm-up examples to work with. And of course, I'd like you to do a little bit of practice with this as well, especially now that we are working a little bit more with the indices. And I am aware that these problems, for a lot of you, when you look at them, they look a little bit scary. But if we can break it down just into step by step, I'm sure that we can build our confidence with them. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video.